So Evie and I think it was Victor are kind of arguing the point.
Victor insists that if they will not be introduced as a group, then they be introduced in pairs. Given their experience, none of us have a desire to be alone in a strange environment right now.
Saying that in Darkanese or in Ferniscan?
Darkanese, he speaks a little better now.
Yep. Okay. A voice from... There's great sweeping stairs that lead up onto a landing in front of you where the wheelhouse is pulled up in front of. And there's a voice from the stairs. A very tall and thin man. Very elegantly dressed, but not in color. He's wearing browns and grays. Very well-made clothes, but not a splash of color on his person. He says that guests of his grace may partake of the hospitality of the house, but do not presume to insist anything of the crown. He turns to Goroshu. Is there a problem getting the Veritas party to quarters? Goroshu doesn't look up to meet the man's gaze. He just doffs his cap. No, sir, we're seeing to it right now, right away. The tall man introduces himself as Ranal. I am led to believe that there are 6 among you who comprise the main Veritas party. Is this accurate?
Edmont nods. Yes, and please forgive my my objections earlier. And the road has not agreed with us before we met with your man Gorshu.
He nods. Are you the highest born amongst you?
No. Edmont turns to look at his cousins and sibling. He has no idea, honestly.
Who is the high? It's Evie, isn't it?
No, it's Lugren. But we're
it's-
not letting Lugren meet the king.
I mean, Lugren is not invited.
Yeah, among the
Lugren-
6 of you, it's one of the twins.
Yeah, Evie and Jeannie are the highest ranking among the main party.
I think we decided that like Evie was technically a few minutes older, so I guess it's technically Evie, but generally we go as if we're even.
Well, Renal wouldn't know any of this. What do you tell him?
You should tell him Ekon.
Well, Evie, and I'll point at Evie. Like she is technically the highest born among us, with me second. We're twins.
Then I shall address you as the Lady Evie.
Evelyn, please.
No.
Of course. Forgive me, please.
Oh, it's no trouble.
And at this time, Goroshu is leading Lugren and Tenny across the yard where you can see the main keep in front of you. But it almost seems like you're standing in the middle of 5 castles. The one in front of you, and then the others stretch out to your sides and behind you. You pass them as you came in through the gatehouse. They're being led across the yard. Lugren and Tenny, pretty much everybody else in your party except for you guys.
I will send my owl to be with Tenny instead of with me. And if anything weird happens, the owl comes to get me.
Renal begins. He makes brief introductions. He gets all of your names. And does not address any of the rest of you by title except for Evelyn. Renal has the pleasure of being Seneschal to his grace. And that he has been looking forward to your coming since he became aware of your arrival in Darkon.
It's nice to have a name to the land.
And he's speaking fairly good Ferniscan. He's competent in both. I mean, Darkanese is his primary, but he's competent in speaking Ferniscan, which is unique amongst the people you've met so far. He speaks it as a man who's learned it very recently, however.
Yeah, and Evie will actually kind of address this. So how is it you came to know our language?
His Grace made it apparent to me that it would be required in order to carry out my duties.
This is pleasing to us. We were not aware there were people in this land who even knew our language.
As you cross to the top of the stairs and into the main entryway, there are guardsmen standing at either side, and they stand up to attention. They're not armored. They're wearing similar clothing to Renal himself, and the only way you can identify them as guardsmen is that as they stand to attention, they're each clutching a halberd as he moves past. The interior of the castle is very brightly lit, which would be unheard of this time of day. There are areas in Brennanine, well, you guys lived in a nice area of Brennanine with nice manor houses and things, that were perhaps illuminated at night by gaslight. The inside of the foyer that you enter here is brightly illuminated with more of these glass orbs. Some of them are suspended high above the ceiling above you, and some of them are set into the walls. You can't help but notice, though, that it's very drafty once you enter, and it's noticeably cooler inside than out.
On the way up, like as we pass the lights, Jeannie would actually ask. She'd be curious about it. What powers those lights? Is it magic, gas, or some other?
He tells you that the schematics of the devices are beyond the scope of his duties, but the knowledge of his grace is wide and varied and stretches in many directions, and as you can see, marvelous application.
Fight.
Renal tells you that he's leading you to an antechamber, where inside you will find the devices you need to be able to refresh yourselves before your audience with his grace. He also has a great many lists of just advice as far as decorum. That when you step in front of his grace, you are to take a knee. You are to take a right knee and rise only when told to speak only when spoken to directly, and to give answers that are short but informative. And this isn't anything new for you guys. None of you have ever sat in a room with a king. There are no kings in the Republic, but it's really no different from
kind of a head of house,
right? Recognizing decorum if you were to sit in with, like a meeting of the Senate or something like that. The difference is in Brennanine, where you guys are used to, even back in South Warren, land of the forest rabbits, a lot of that decorum is just pageantry. Renal gives you the distinct impression that it's possible to cause offense. And sure enough, inside the antechamber, there's food available. This time, fresh fruits, meats, breads. It's lit with the same lighting, although there is also a large stained glass window against the back wall with the heavy curtains drawn. There are cushioned chairs here available to sit. There's also a wash basin in one corner of the room.
Evie spends as much time as possible making herself look presentable for someone who's been on the road for 12 days.
I am going to walk up by, like, when Evie goes to, like, wash herself, I'm going to walk up behind her and slap her in the back of the head.
So before you do that, because I'm assuming you're not doing that in front of the seneschal.
Right.
Does anybody have anything else to ask of Renal before he takes his leave of you?
What's the proper form of address? Like, what's the title? Your Grace, Your Eminence, Your Majesty?
Your Grace.
Okay. Thank you.
Would it cause offense if we were to kind of jump in all as a group, or should we mostly let Evie do the talking?
His Grace is aware. His Grace is aware that the lineage of command, as it were, is different in your country than here in Darkon, and some allowances can be made.
And will you be around later for additional questions?
I am at your disposal.
I wish to speak with you after we meet the king, then.
He nods. And yeah, he leaves you in this very posh and very comfortable antechamber. And then that's when Jeannie starts beating up on her sister.
I slap her in the back of the head. We were advised very specifically not to give our names to anybody.
These people already know our names.
They know our last names.
They know our last name, and now they have your full name.
Do not imagine the food is safe to eat. Orson is standing over by the spread.
If they were going to poison us, they could have done it on the ride.
Yeah.
I suppose that's correct. He reaches out and takes a big bunch of grapes and begins popping them into his mouth.
All right,
Edmont is scrubbing the road off of him.
So when you go over to the wash basin, you're expecting just a bowl, essentially like a basin full of water that a servant would have brought in and had cloths laid out so you can wash yourself, wash your face and hands. Absent being able to take a bath here. You get to the basin, though, there's no water in it at all. It's just an empty, smooth, white, kind of granite pattern basin. There's a spigot above it that looks like the tap on the side of a keg. And there's a metal cylinder sunk into the center of the basin at the lowest point. Looking around, you see a crank near to the spigot. One on the left-hand side and one on the right-hand side.
Turn the crank on the left side.
And as you do, the spigot jerks for a moment and water begins pouring out of it, circling around the basin and draining down the center. And after over a few moments, the water becomes warm to the touch, and then warmer, and then warmer. Never uncomfortably hot, but hotter than you've ever felt outside of submerging yourself in a bath.
Is this technology that we are not familiar with? They don't have this in Fernisco?
You're probably familiar with some forms of rudimentary plumbing, but not hot water on demand. No.
Yeah, this is way more sophisticated than anything I've ever seen.
Fascinating.
Oh, the genie's going to be very distracted.
And yeah, you have the same light sources in the room as well. And I want somebody give me a perception check as well. I'll let the group make one. You make it at advantage, but it's a high DC.
I think Ekon has the best.
Yeah.
Someday it will be Victor, but for now it's Ekon.
That'd be a perception of... yeah, not happening. Like 7, 8, 10.
Okay. You've noticed when you stepped into the structure that inside it was noticeably cooler than outside. Usually that's a foreboding thing. You don't want to step into somewhere and have it be noticeably different than in that way. It's a good indication you're about to be attacked by skeletons or something, in your experience.
Right.
But in this room, it almost seems to be cooler still, but not uncomfortably so. And you're just very aware of it. This is not what the inside of the room should feel like. There is a fireplace, but there's no hearth in it. Or there's no fire in the hearth. And you can look up through the stone chimney inside. But there does not seem to be an explanation for why outside it's the heat of summer and inside it's refreshingly cool.
Only sorcery could do this.
There is no magic afoot that you can tell.
I don't believe it.
Jeannie, explain it.
Jeannie is she's like half-heartedly berating Evie for giving the name and helping her get ready because she's the one that's got to make the best impression. But like in the midst of it, her eyes are looking towards the light, and she just kind of slowly stops what she's doing in her hands and just kind of walks over to one of the lights. And like if she has to climb on a chair, she pulls a chair over and just starts looking at it.
Okay, and it's
I'm
very
gonna-
bright.
Help her, please.
I'm gonna
Back
go
up
ahead
The scene here.
Like she's digging in her tinker tools for like a screwdriver.
Make an intelligence tinker tools check. What is Ekon doing?
I'm gonna preemptively cast an enhance ability charisma on Evie.
You mean Lady Evelyn?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there anything that resembles a bath, or is there just a sink?
Just the basin here. There's not a tub or anything.
Victor is gonna grab a
Yeah.
cloth or piece of fabric and start cleaning himself in the nice warm water.
Okay.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, Edmont is at least scrubbing the road off of his face.
Okay. And what was that Tinker Tools check?
A 17.
17?
Yeah.
The lights elude you. You don't get it. It's just like you can tell the illuminated ball is made out of glass.
Mm-hmm.
And that fire and glass don't get along. It can't be fire. The thing would just fill with smoke and be blackened. It wouldn't work. And if it's not magic, you wouldn't know what. The basin, however, you know, because you've built things with steam, and you know that steam generates power, and power can be used to move turbines. And theoretically, you could heat a vat of water with a sufficient engine. Enough water for you to, say, take a bath in, rather than have it brought up to heat with hot stones or by pouring hot kettles into the tub, which is typically the practice. However, you just watched like 5 of your cousins all scrub up at this basin. The amount of water was incredible. It was large. It could have filled the basin many times over. To heat that much water, the engine you would have to build doesn't make sense to you. It's not magic, but it's something else, and it just defies your understanding. You know enough to know that you don't know, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
What if you had a magical source of fire at a distance behind a lead shielding, and then you just use that and transported the water through pumps or gravity?
Yeah. Like, Jeannie's like, she's like drawing on like a napkin. Like,
And everybody
She's
looks
like-
over, and for some
she
reason,
hasn't
Alex is
cleaned
there.
up yet. She hasn't cleaned up yet. She's drawing on a napkin. She's like diagramming like a pipe system where you heat the pipes
Evie just says
as
magic
it goes
about
through.
With a 17, no matter how you go over it, it doesn't work. You see problems at every turn. You couldn't. This can't be done. With
Genie
your
scrub
level
up,
of knowledge.
Genie scrub up. We're meeting somebody who's very important.
Oh, right. And I shoved the napkins. I've drawn like 16 napkins. I just shoved them all in my pockets and like go over and clean up.
Do you mind if I get some of your steel wool to clean off the trim of my armor?
Yeah, sure. You can take anything out of my kits. It's fine.
After about 2 hours or so, give everybody time to refresh themselves. Orson has eaten all of the grapes. Everybody's washed up as best they can. Kick the mud off your boots. There's a brush off to the side that you can shine up with. Scrape the rust off your armor. Make yourselves look pretty presentable. Renal returns after about 2 hours. Tells you that His Grace awaits your appointment and asks if there's anything else that he could bring before he takes you there.
I have nothing. I need nothing else.
Is it the intention of any of you to not observe the decorum that you were advised about?
I mean, we were all raised basically to do that. So
Okay.
why would we?
Victor's annoyed. He's not stupid.
Yeah, no.
You're annoyed? There was grapes, man.
Yeah, and
But they were the Final Fantasy 14 pixelated grapes. They just weren't as good.
Yeah, it's really annoying that they got rid of those. Those were great. Those were great.
You guys are
we didn't
taken
get
to
any
the
grapes.
You're taken to the King's Solar, which is relatively near to where the antechamber that you were in. Renal tells you that since this is not an official diplomatic visit, as the Veritas House is not here to represent the house in any sort of political capacity, that you will not be attending to the king in the throne room, but rather in one of his private solars. And that he offers apology to Lady Evelyn if this causes offense.
Oh, I'm sure there will be no trouble. We're happy to be received by the king wherever is convenient and pleasant for him.
And the room that you're taken to is just as posh as the one you exited from. Although I'll let the group give me a history check here. Anybody can make it. You can make it and advantage, because it's an observation you guys can kind of mull over as you're
Plus
moving through the
7.
castle.
I got a bonus on history rolls.
I got a +7.
My history's crap.
Mine's at +3.
I have +2.
All right, so it looks like Treble's making it. Go ahead and make it at advantage.
Whee! That is a 24.
So, safe to say that Jeannie's attention is mostly drawn to the bewildering non-magical apparatus.
Mhm.
But something else is like unnerving you a little bit. And it takes you a minute to realize what it is. There's decoration hanging around. Curtains, drapery, there are carpets and rushes on floors. No heraldry. No insignias. No suits of armor in any particular design. No paintings either. No statues or sculptures. You've never been to a noble's house where they didn't flaunt their history and their wealth with decorum. But this king in this vast, bright castle has nothing of the sort. It's putting you off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The solar that you enter is just as comfortable as the room you left, except there's not a wash basin in it. And the fire in here has been lit. This room is mostly lit by the fire in the hearth. You do not see the glass bulbs at first because they're not illuminated. But after a moment, you do see that they are present. They're just dark. So the room itself is darker than the others that you've entered. There's a large table in the center of it. And Evie, you immediately recognize the man sitting at the head of the table as the man that you saw in your vision previously. He looks young, not older than 30, 35 maybe. Very regally dressed, but again, there's no adornments, no coloration or insignia, no shield of arms. And he's very, very handsome. Long curly locks of blonde hair fall down his back and over his shoulders. And he's sitting stock straight at the head of his table with his hands folded on the table in front of him. As Renal stands in the door and makes an announcement. Your Grace, these are the men and women of House Veritas, have come to stand before you as commanded. And this is where you're supposed to go in and kneel.
Evie will go in and kneel on her right knee.
Likewise.
Is everybody doing this?
Yeah.
Yeah, if that's what's expected.
And again, when you kind of do this kind of stuff, it's all pageantry. Nobody really takes it seriously. But you're on the floor, on your knee, for longer than you expected to be. Before the man holds his hand out, rise, and please sit before me. There are other chairs. There's more chairs at the table than there are you guys to fill up.
Edmont rises and stands next to his chair waiting for Evie to take a seat.
Mm-hmm.
So
Evie does so, but she doesn't say anything yet because he has not asked her anything.
So Evie, are you sitting in the chair across from him?
If that seems to be what's expected.
No, you're not sure what's expected at this moment.
I mean, it seems fair. Wherever she sits, I'm gonna sit on her right side.
Okay.
Yeah, she'll sit across from him.
And as the last of you take your seats, he motions for Reval to come over to the table. And he sets a goblet before each of you and starts to fill it with a quantity of wine. And as Reval finishes, the king says, by way of introduction, we shall inform you that we are Azalin Rex, king of Darkon. Allow me to welcome you. And he waits expectantly.
We were told not to speak unless he's speaking to us, right?
Well, he's addressing all of you right now.
No.
And after a moment, behind you, you hear the click of the door close as Reval has left the room.
Suppose it's been your domain has been rather interesting to traverse.
He nods in understanding. allow us to extend our apologies for hardships and losses that you have faced.
There is no need for apologies, Your Grace. We are here to answer the summons you placed before us.
Darkon is an old land and thinly populated, as you no doubt have seen.
We have seen, yes.
We offer you the hospitality of our house, and our wish is that you would find comfort here during your stay.
Our house graciously accepts what you offer.
Please, I would have your names.
I am the Lady Evelyn of House Veritas. I am honored to make your acquaintance, Your Grace.
Aethar Ekon Veritas of Air.
Forgive me. Aethar is a title, yes?
Yes.
In your country, this is what you would call a priest. A man of prayer.
Yes.
And he nods with understanding and turns his eyes to the next person in line.
Edmont. Veritas.
And Orson squeaks out his name, and you can tell that he's kind of uncomfortably and making a very good point of sitting as straight in his seat as he can.
It's okay, Orson. Eventually we'll get out of here.
Are you saying that to him?
No.
Just silent encouragement.
Yeah.
Jeannie like looks around and she sighs a little bit. She's like quietly sighs to herself, and then says, "Eugenia Veritas. What is the birth order? It's Lugrin is the oldest, right?
Lugrin, and then the twins, and then Orson, and then the children, starting with Tenny.
Mm-hmm. I'll just introduce myself as Eugenia Veritas, twin sister to.
And then he turns to Victor.
Vincent Veritas, at your service, my liege.
You give your name as Vincent?
Yeah.
I was expecting that.
The king leans back, seems to regard Victor for a long moment. Vincent, tell me one true thing and one untrue thing about one of your cousins.
Well, my cousin Jeannie over there was unfortunately responsible for shooting a man in the face when we were back home. He nods to Jeannie.
And this thing is true or untrue?
Ah, but my liege, you asked me to tell you two things, not to differentiate between them.
I am no liege of yours. You are guests in my house.
Very well. Shall I refer to you as Lord, Regent? What title do you prefer, sir?
We would appreciate an answer to the question. Was that thing true or untrue?
Was that true or untrue?
He doesn't even remember.
So,
I shot a man and hit him in the leg. No. I didn't shoot the man.
Was it your friend that shot the man?
Yeah, it was Donique. It was not. Excuse me. It was Trieste that shot him, and I think he shot him in the shot. It blew out his knee.
the statement was vague enough that it could be true or untrue. I'll leave it up to Victor.
That is true.
Please
And
tell
the
us
untrue?
one untrue thing about your cousin, Eugenia.
Tell him the same thing over again.
Eugenia once found a wonderful cannon and was able to assemble it so that we might onslaught a den of thieves.
He regards this for a moment.
Just being vague on purpose, aren't you?
As he clasps his hands back in front of him anybody trained in Arcana becomes aware that he's casting a spell. And this is surprising because remember, in the country where you grew up, you can't cast a spell without channeling the energy through your spell focus.
Does he have any sort of ring or anything?
He's wearing gloves on his hands. And you're not sure if he's got adornments underneath or not.
Could be the gloves.
He turns back to Evie. Will I be made to suffer Victor's vagueness for the duration of our conversation? Or will you bring him to heel?
Victor, don't say anything again.
Victor just sort of shrugs and nods. As you wish, Lady Evelyn.
It is the nature of your people to test the boundaries when you are up against them. I acknowledge and understand this, but I will not suffer it.
I apologize on behalf of my house, Your Grace.
The boundaries are all around you, and they are more severe than you know. He looks at the rest of you, kind of glancing over your number, taking the measure of you. It may delight you, or surprise you to learn that you are not the first men of the Republic of Gran Fernisca to come to Darkon, though it has been many, many years since your countrymen have visited.
We were surprised to learn that there were those among you who knew our tongue.
He shakes his head. You speak of Raval and Gorashu. They know what I have taught them, and nothing more. Previous men of your country came here long before they were born.
And how is it that you came to know of them, of our language, of our people, of our names, our house?
We are Azalin Rex, king. That's all the answer he gives.
All right. I guess I can't argue with that.
If you may permit me a curiosity or a question of inquiry, sire.
He motions that you're to continue.
Cosmologically speaking, where is Darkon in relation to the Grand Republic?
Far away. Beyond the skies, beyond the veils, beyond the mists.
And are the mists the key to moving between such distances?
He leans back in his chair and he regards you. And for a moment, you realize he's regarding you as he regarded Victor a few moments ago. The only answer he gives is he says, there are those that know for certain. Such discussion is outside the scope of this audience.
I kind of nod.
I'll be frank. The people from your country wields an exceptional and very unique form of magic. And he describes the mechanism by which Ferniscan magic is done. All magic granted by air comes through house relics or other kinds of magical instruments and spell focuses. And he speaks of it very academically.
Is everything he's saying accurate?
As far as you know, yes. But, Jeannie, maybe an insight check.
Sure.
He's kind of rolled low on that one.
That's a 15.
I'm assuming you're not interjecting. Like, if he says something that's incorrect, you're not going to jump in and correct him.
Not right now.
Okay.
It takes every ounce of Jeannie's self-control, but she doesn't.
His understanding of, say, the magical grammar of how your house relics work, which up until very recently was the only kind of magic you've ever known, seems very accurate. But you can tell by listening to his carefully chosen words that he doesn't know everything. And boy, he wishes he did.
Hmm.
You have no way to communicate this to your companions without breaking decorum, but I'll leave it up to you if you want to say something to them.
I'll tap it. I'll lock eyes with Victor and kind of surreptitiously tap the side of my head, like make it look like a nervous gesture.
And as you do this, you see Aslan, his eyes follow over to Victor, watching what you do next.
Victor sits there
It does.
as he was and doesn't do anything for the moment.
And after
But
a heavy silence hangs in the air for a moment, Aslan speaks again.
so as he starts speaking again, Victor will establish a telepathic link with Jeannie and Evie and do I want to do Ekon or Edmont?
God, I'm pretty sure when I ran Curse of Strahd, every time they converse telepathically, I put Strahd in on the call with them.
Sounds like something he'd do.
Aslan tells you that he won't... that he's learned in the ways of telepathy, and he won't stop you from conversing amongst yourselves. But we do find it something... We do find it somewhat impolite. And he leans back and waits for you to finish having your private conversation.
At the mention of he knows what's going on.
Edmont gives the others a very sour look.
No, Victor just cuts it as soon as this guy gives notion that he'll be able to, or he knows what's going on.
Before the connection goes out, you hear Evie in your head, Victor, you were ordered not to speak.
Aslan addresses the group again. I intend to make use of you for the duration of your stay in Darkon. I should hope that there will be no objections, and that your house and mine can become friends within the boundaries you find yourself.
We are honored by your gesture, Your Grace, but you have us at somewhat of a disadvantage, for it seems you know a great deal about us and the land that we came from, yet we know so little about you, about Darkon.
These gaps in your knowledge can be rectified.
That would be most appreciated, Your Grace.
I'm going to put my hand on Evie's shoulder and then just kind of I'm going to look at the king and like make a may I gesture.
Indicating what? What are you wanting to do?
May I speak?
He grants you to continue.
So, and I'm going to start real slow. So, you seem very interested in our house relics. I was wondering why, because to me, from an outside perspective, it seems that it would be more beneficial to cast magic as you seem to be able to without being tied down with such an object. Is this outside of the scope of this meeting? This kind of inquiry?
He tells you that magic is governed by rules.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these
And
rules you already know. Others you do not.
I have noticed that some of the rules are different here from where we come. And I make kind of a grimace. He goes, we had kind of a situation with a dead body and falling out of the sky.
We have no doubt that your anecdotes are entertaining. But time is short. With your permission, we will continue.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Sorry. I apologize. You just seemed very interested in it.
He tells you that there is country. Some days travel away from his own castle. The land is theirs in a sorry state. It's overgrown. It has not been seen to in a generation or more. He has a mind to offer land and title to House Veritas. To put to right, to take from it what work and what wealth as you can. And in lieu of taxation, I will accept inquiries to sate my curiosity about your particular form of Furniskin magic. These are skills you possess, no doubt. You are quality in your home country. You know how to administrate land, how to collate, separate wealth, how to defend against invaders.
Is the land currently occupied? Well, with peasants or any other such peoples?
Not by anyone who owes us fealty, nor by anyone who lives under our protection. The denizens that you find there will be yours to do with what you will.
Currently, no one controls this land.
And even as you ask the question, you think back to the ghost towns that you traveled through. And it almost seems like you have your answer there. Evelyn tells you that the land has not been seen to for over a generation, but gives you no more details than that.
Mm-hmm. So, Your Grace, your offer is very generous. But you must understand that there are certain things that House Veritas also wishes to learn and wishes to know that we may wish to learn from you in exchange.
And he sits up in his chair, folds his hands back in front of him. Does Evelyn of Veritas presume to give commands to Azalin Rex?
Lady Evelyn of Veritas presumes to negotiate the terms of our arrangement.
The terms are as you've heard them. I give you the land to do with what you will, to make what wealth you can. In exchange, you will answer questions when they arise. And we will be friends going forward, your house and mine.
I would find this acceptable so long as you understand that House Veritas has their own agenda to pursue as well.
We would hear of this agenda. And he sits a little more relaxed now, waiting for your explanation.
As you are no doubt aware, we did not arrive in this land willingly. We were pulled here through what you call the mist. It is in the interest of my family to search for a way to return to where we came from.
And you believe this is within our power to grant?
Your Grace, may I ask a question?
Need motions for you to continue?
These travelers from our land, the Holy Republic of Fernisco, did you hear from them about what House Veritas is known for?
He shakes his head. Says it was only one man, and it was a very long time ago.
Who was this man, if I may inquire, Your Grace?
His name escapes our memory at the moment.
So, House Veritas are well known in the Holy Republic for being finders and keepers of knowledge and great secrets. If there is a way for us to return to our own land, I believe that we will find it. It is what we do.
I am gladdened to hear of this speciality. Finders of great secrets are of tremendous use to us.
I believe that our talents could indeed be of great use to you, Your Grace.
I will see that a records keeper in our employ is sent with you when you go, along with a catalog of unplumbed ruins,
Victor's eyes light up.
dungeons, underground spaces. These would all be in the purview of your domain, and you would be free to plumb them at your discretion. Catalog whatever truths and secrets you may find, and relinquish to me that which I may have use of. If this is agreeable.
We are happy to share our knowledge. It is indeed one of the tenets of our faith.
Excellent. He asks how deals like this are enshrined in law where you come from.
Would that be a contract?
Usually, yeah. I mean, it wouldn't. Depending on the actual what's going down, there may be more pageantry or ceremony involved.
So like a contract overseen by an Athar?
Yeah, especially if it's religious in nature, there might be praying involved. Or I'll let you guys decide how ostentatious you want to get with it.
So, in the tenets of our nation, we would prepare a document displaying all of the terms of our agreement, ensuring that they are mutually agreeable to both sides. And then we would both sign the document to indicate that our acceptance of this agreement, and this document would be considered binding and legal.
And there is one amongst your number who has the knowledge and expertise to draft this document.
I have the religious authority.
The knowledge part, what would that be?
I mean,
Wasn't Victor like up all ends on this?
Yeah, Victor
Kind of
was
stuff.
a...
Victor is not touching this document.
Victor is...
I am putting there. If Victor touches this document, I'm going to stab him.
Like, yes,
Wow.
we do have one, but he is not touching the document. Glare, glare,
Well,
glare.
Okay, one of the tenets is that you can't like magically compel someone to go into a document like this, right? So
Yeah.
right.
No, Evie has forgery tools. I assume that she has the ability to prepare documents.
Well, you have the ability to forge and copy documents, yes.
Okay, well, that entails a certain understanding of documents.
Victor just smiles.
We have among our numbers the means to do this.
The king tells you that the journey to your new holdings contains a village and part of a derelict keep that will probably need a considerable amount of construction to be set to rights. And that he would be able to send some working men with you to see to the repairs. That this would become dangerous to do if you linger too long. He tells you that it would be best to take your leave of his house before like the beginning of fall. That way you'd have time to get there, do some rudimentary repairs, perhaps take in a harvest before winter.
What is the...
It's the middle of summer right now. He's telling you that you don't have to do this tonight and be gone tomorrow. You'll have the hospitality of his house for as long as you want it, but
Don't stay too long.
if you linger too long, you risk arriving too late in the year and making life harder on yourself.
Yeah.
My family and I will discuss our plans for this new domain that you have granted us.
We would advise you that it is within our power to hear any discussions you choose to have within our walls. But we will inform you that this will not be done unless cause is given to do so.
Evie glares at Victor at this moment. A withering glare.
Victor just smiles.
Victor is
He
not
glares
really-
harder.
Is there anything else you would have of us tonight?
Evie looks at the other members of the party.
Anybody else have anything for Evelyn?
Question. You said there's lights in the room, but they're not on?
Most of the light in this room is burning in the fireplace behind the king. There's also a candle set out on the table. There are lights in the room, but they're dark at the moment.
I'll just kind of blurt out. Is there any way I could get the let's ask him. I just blurt out real quick. Like, is there any way for me to get some knowledge on the workings of the lights and the water system you have at this place? It's very fascinating. And then I'll pull out a napkin from my pocket and a pen and a paper.
He says that under the circumstances, we assumed it would be more to your comfort. And he motions to the hearth behind him. For first meetings, I find fire to be more comfortable than electricity.
And like Jeannie says, electricity, and she writes that down.
Electricity?
The flux
I'm assuming
capacitor.
I'm assuming since like Evie is like she knows what electricity is in terms of, or is that like I don't know, is that a term that like predates?
No, you have no, that word doesn't mean anything to you. I mean,
Okay,
the word electric doesn't, like, your science has not evolved that far yet.
right.
Very well. We shall make ourselves available
one last
for a meeting
question.
on that topic. Ekon?
And she-
Tonight. So, in order for me to start writing up this document, what exactly would Evelyn's title be? Baronetess? Baron? Duchess?
Make an insight check.
Yeah. That's an 8.
An 8? He nods and says that Duchess would be appropriate.
Oh wow.
You know what? Hold on. How many blips do I have? I think I don't have any. But I'm
Listen,
checking.
I'm saving blips because I need to level up, guys. I'm not giving it to you.
I have
sorry.
0. I have
I have
0.
0 blips too because I leveled up.
I was gonna blow some blips on that, but I don't have any. I'm out.
Man, you guys.
I want to know. I want to know what the problem is.
And at that, Aslan stands up, which is an indication that you all should stand too.
Yep.
Evie does so.
When the king stands, nobody sits.
Mhm.
And without even giving an indication that the meeting is over or speaking anything, Raval re-enters the room by the same door
Distressing.
and motions, if you please.
We thank you for your
Oh, that would be-
hospitality and generosity, Your Grace. We look forward to a productive relationship.
Aslan gives you a nod as you leave. You're taken to the southeastern wing of the castle, and you're put up in quarters which are larger than your manor house was in Brennanine, larger even than the governor's house in South Warren. Very opulently decorated, and you find the same kind of technological wizardry in many of the rooms. By the time you've returned, Tenny is in very good spirits. She's clasped in a very comfortable looking white and red cloth robe, and she tells you about the bathtub that she just bathed in and how the water came out already hot, and it was amazing. And she tells you about the food that they've eaten, and everybody in the rest of your party has already been seen to.
We have a lot to talk about.
Yep.
Yep. I think the next time that we have a meeting with the king, I'm just going to do it myself.
No.
These ruins better be worth it.
I mean, I skipped Earl, so didn't give him a lot of room there, I guess.
Like Duchess, what is the equivalent rank of like?
Duchess is usually pretty high.
No, I mean,
Duchess
what's
is
the
directly under King Queen.
I know, but like, what was the equivalent rank? Like, what was the ranks in Gran Francisco?
We didn't have ranks like that. It's not a monarchy.
I mean, Nigel would effectively be a duke.
Nigel's effective. Well, yeah, his actual title was speaker.
Yeah,
Right.
but
Everyone's mother, not the woman who runs the family back home, would be a
Alfred.
duchess. Yeah.
But they declare who the Duchess is democratically. It's not tied to
Right, and in other
Sure.
like in the kingdom of Endeline, which was invading as you guys cowardly ran away from the city in your lives, they would still have that particular hierarchy of king and queen, and then duke and duchess, and baron and baroness, and count all the way down. But
Okay, so look, we can't fight meteors and tidal waves, okay?
Yeah, listen,
you don't know that. You didn't try.
Well, the reason I'm asking, you wouldn't have let us. The reason I'm asking is I'm going to make fun of Evie, and I'm going to bow and I'm going to like make a little curtsy motion,
Are you gonna make her a Dutch oven?
and then I'm going to like say, I guess technically it's like congratulations, you now outrank Ruby.
That's
Evie
true.
laughs really hard at that.
well, yeah.
And you once again find yourself not only in the heart of hospitality in this bizarre region, but also comfort and wealth.
Here we go again.
Yeah, no kidding.
Over the course of the next few days, the servants of the castle are always at your disposal with whatever you could want as far as food or new fresh clothing or services to be rendered if you need your armor cleaned or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the king himself is unapproachable. Any inquiries made after Evelyn are met only with curt apologies, and that's it. Evelyn did say he would make himself available for one meeting to discuss Jeannie's fancy of the marvels of the place.
Jeannie, if I'm remembering how this works correctly, that makes you a Viscountess.
Neat.
Viscountess.
Viscountess. What does that make what does that make everyone else?
Siblings would be Viscounts, whatever, however it's Viscount, I don't know how you say it. Yeah.
Teddy, you're a Viscountess now.
She doesn't know what that
cousins
is.
are probably the step below that.
Yeah, no, Ed,
I'll
Ekon and I are basically not.
I'll bow at the waist, Orson, and go Viscountess.
Orson's like, cool, I guess.
Okay,
So-
let's not get carried away, guys. We have a lot of work to do before anybody's going to call us anything.
So the wandering through the Darkades wilderness portion of the campaign has come to an end. And when we bring it back next week, we will begin the, hey, we found our castle. Where's our Stars of Destiny slab portion of the campaign?
Yeah, we need to find we need to. Yeah, we got to find the kid who tells us this is Veritas Castle. I feel so good.
Well, Yanis already died, so we can't get the good ending.
We have to.
No, we get the other Stars of Destiny and we get him back.
Oh,
You had to save Denny, not Janice.
I'm not saving Denny.
Denny was not a Star of Destiny.
I wish Jenny had been at that meeting with us.
Oh, no.
I had
God,
some
we
notes for how that would have went.
No,
Evie
no,
would have
Denny.
stabbed him to death in the middle of the meeting, right in front of the king.
Evie's gonna be chaotic evil by the end of this.
She is, probably. This is going to be her start of darkness.
So who wants some experience points?
Sure.
Oh, our whole 10 experience points for killing 3 commoners.
So for killing 7 commoners, who are worth 10 experience each of you get 11 experience points.
Oh boy. Don't spend it all in one place.
Listen, I have to spend it all in one place because I need to get 11 of you guys.
The most.
I don't think I could get a level even after this.
So I just used the commoner stat block and gave them. Well, first I gave them a feature to double their damage output on weapons, And then I gave them the feature that they are just immune to the unconscious condition. They cannot be knocked unconscious. You have to kill them to go through them. Which you did.
Fucked up. That's fucked up. I don't like that.
Now, I knew you were going to say that. Because you're right. It is.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And the stat block alterations were mine. Because I knew that you have to kill these people. There's not, but the actual monster's not mine. That's a Ravenloft staple. There's a group of, I guess, you would call them a monster, I suppose, called the Kavari. During the 3 nights of the full moon, the Kavari metabolism and psychology changes. Some scholars liken this to a form of lycanthropy that affects their minds. The Kavari themselves never speak of this time, thus they never warn strangers to leave before the full moon rises, and have learned to block out those 3 nights from their lives. While this means nothing to them, it's just the way things are, after all. Travelers who are staying in a Kavari town at the time of the blood moon are in for a great surprise.
That's great. I love that.
Thanks. Thanks.
You'll also be delighted to know that I've been on the other side of the Kavari before. Last time I played a Ravenloft game, our dungeon master... I mean, I had already read all the Ravenloft books, so went to this village, and he's describing it as just these friendly Amish folk. And I'm like, oh, okay, I know what's about to happen. I can't say shit to the other players. It's just going to be fun. So all the nightmares are over, and now we'll start playing Suikoden. It's going to be great.
Yay!
Yeah, I can't wait for the next fight where like 4 dark powers all malfunction all at the same time.
I've always got more fireballs.
I can't wait to set fire to everything with my new blades.
So who wants to make a case for some blips?
I guess Victor can.
Victor, what do you got?
So, for alignment, the ends justify the means. That would be slaughtering the villagers to escape.
Yeah, that's fair.
For the ideal of seek the truth no matter the cost, that would be admitting that he embraced the dark powers.
Okay.
And then for the flaws, values knowledge over people. That would be either embracing the dream to take the dark powers, because it's a new feature he gets to use, or boldly approaching the carriage to find out what's going on. Or valuing the knowledge of his name over the king's desire to, know it.
All right, who's next?
I can go.
Ekon.
I've got flaw. I'm sure there's always something good just over that next hill for the decision to travel to the next village and hopefully meet up with Lyre and Plaiden there. Got ideal. Give me a reason for trying to bring the roof down on the longhouse rather than actually killing the villagers attacking him.
Okay.
And I've got lawful good. The shining words of air lay down a path for us all for rejecting the offer by the dark powers.
Very good. Who's next?
I can go.
Genie.
Oh, and initiative.
Oh, okay.
That very lucrative combat. Chaotic neutral, when in doubt, go with your gut for just immediately hopping into the... you said it wasn't a carriage, but the carriage feels like, you know what? Just, it's what we were doing and going to do anyway, so might as well just hop in and go.
Carriage is a
Everyone
fair
dies.
description. It wasn't a wagon, was the distinction.
Yeah. What would Nigel do for the fascination with the electrical lights and the hot running water and like just the general like how does this work?
Mm-hmm.
This is the seeking of knowledge on that. And my flaw, don't worry about it. It was just a setback for accepting the dark power, and then when asked about it, her response being, well, it seemed like the best thing to do in the moment.
Okay.
And then the video.
The interesting thing about that, accepting the dark power, nothing bad happened after you accepted it, right?
No?
Yeah, I wonder why that is.
like I said, at the moment in the situation she was in, which was like everybody's dead, everybody's dying.
No, that makes
Sure.
sense. Just you accepted it, and then nothing bad happened after that.
Right.
Just the dream ended.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Who's next?
I'll go.
Edmont.
I've got my alignment, lawful neutral, take everything you can, give nothing back for being like bad decisions. Let's do it. I think I was the fastest person to jump in on that, probably.
You also have
Like,
the shortest class feature, which is one line.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I am gonna watch the video to see who said yes the fastest. That's gonna be fascinating.
I
No,
think
it was
me.
definitely McDohl. 100%.
Listen. I live to make bad decisions for my characters.
I think Victor and Jeannie were like both waiting for the other
Waffling the
shoe.
most.
Nope, Edmund's like, nope, let's do it. Do the dumb thing immediately, right away.
Yeah, it was the description, the best way to describe how I came to the decision was nope, don't think it. Like I was like, I started to ask questions, you wouldn't answer, and I was like, nope, don't think too hard about it, just first thing, yes.
Well, Saul was already writing the shit down, and then I asked if he accepted, and he go, oh, I have to accept this? Like, what? There's a catch?
No, it's
No,
like I'm
there was gonna
reminded
be a
of.
catch. I was
reminded
surprised when
of
you
this-
didn't say it, though.
I'm reminded of a situation where you had presented us with an Efreet and who was offering a wish in exchange for freedom, and Nodal jumped on that and immediately like twisted it in such a way that you couldn't bonus over with it. Like I'm still kind of miffed about that because I wanted to make a bad decision and now I got to make a bad
You
decision.
wanted to get
So,
boned
yay.
by the Efreet.
Yeah.
You absolutely would have screwed them, to be clear.
Edmund,
Brown
do
chicken, brown cow.
you have any other books you want to
I
claim?
have life as my canvas, and I will make my mark on it for being very receptive to Darkon's to Aslan's proposal, because this is Edmont isn't worth, he's barely marriage fodder back home.
Mm-hmm.
Like at least here he can make something of himself with this.
Which might explain Edmund's readiness to embrace the nightmares.
Yeah.
Which definitely will have no repercussions.
Anything else?
No, that's it. That's all. Actually, no. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on you for just getting just this whole situation with the halfling peoples. Like
Okay.
this has to be like people in general are good. Like they're not gonna just wake up one night and murder the crap out of you. That is not something that people do.
So second edition has a stat called your morale. It's a number from 1 to 20. And typically what you would do with monsters is that they'd make a check against this score to see whether or not they stay in fight if the fight's going against them. I do morale checks for NPCs and battles in 5th edition too, something I find it useful to do. And what's interesting about the Kavari is they're either average at a 9 or a 10 or fanatic at 18.
Ooh. You got to roll over that to.
And all of their other stats are garbage. They're just commoners.
But that's all I got.
Yeah, okay. And that just leaves Evie.
Me! Oh. Okay, so aspect, you mess with my family, you mess with me for accepting a evil pact in order to protect her family.
You don't know it was an evil pact.
I'm pretty sure it was an evil pact.
How can you be
I don't,
sure?
because it's pattern recognition. Everything in this frickin' world is evil.
You
Also, you told us we all had the distinct impression that it was a bad idea.
Now, it's going to be great. There's not going to be any downsides whatsoever.
Okay.
That sounds like the housemate's home. Sorry.
Anything else?
Chess master must move her pieces to position of greatest advantage for making her the person in charge during the conversation with the king, because she didn't really trust her other family members not to make asses of themselves.
Now, I do feel like I have to clear this up once and for all. Is Evie the oldest, or is Jeannie older, but just not as suited to the position?
I think Evie's older.
We came to the conclusion that like there's like 10 minutes apart, but Evie is older.
Okay.
Well, Lugren's older than both of us, so if we're going by pure age, but Lugren's not. I don't think Lugren would want this job.
I don't know. He gets to drink a lot. Anything else, Evie?
A flaw no one understands for the fight we had on the bridge where we almost came to blows.
Everybody's taking the full raft this week. All right. Who had the most creative solution to a problem?
Can I put myself forward for the darkness puddle?
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that.
Darkness puddle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gave us cover getting out of the window.
Who did the
Yeah,
most to
that's
further
exactly
the party's
why I did
goals?
Party goals.
That's
Evie
definitely Evie for the negotiation.
for becoming a duchess,
Yeah.
which Jeannie is just going to, like. I feel like Jeannie is very like deadpan and like monotone with everybody but Evie, and she's just gonna mock Evie like.
Is Evie
Constantly.
actually the most well suited? I guess we'll find out.
Now, Evie, you don't have to stand for that kind of.
I'm a duchess now,
behavior.
bitch.
Like you're
I'm a
gonna
duchess now.
you're gonna be like you could have Jeannie executed. Like
I wouldn't have Genie executed. I chose that expression very carefully.
who was the badass this week?
That was
I mean, Victor lied to the king.
I liked Ekon kind of being a human shield for the rest of the party.
yeah.
Yeah. And
Uh,
then also, being the one to, light the village on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Climb all the roof.
Okay. What
and
about intangibles?
that's Victor for
For-
lying to the king.
I can't.
Vincent.
I can't even scold Victor for doing that because I did the exact same thing in Destil's Eberron game that he ran.
And did you get called out immediately?
Yes, everybody was very upset.
From now on, you refer to him as Vincent.
They had, they had X amount of questions. They were using Speak with Dead, and my character just blew one for no good reason. I thought it was funny. Everybody else hated it.
That wasn't your Speak with Dead either. You negotiated with someone to get that Speak with Dead.
Which makes it even funnier. And Evie has our straw poll today.
Yay! Oh wow, I might be a level after all.
Uh,
How much are blips worth now?
are we level 6 now?
Yes.
Yeah, Victor's.
All right, blips are worth 300 each. So Edmont, you have 6. You're rolling over 4. Ekon, you had 0. You earned 6. So you're going to roll over any?
No.
So you come in next week with 6. Evie had 6 and earned 5. So you have to roll over 5.
I need to do some math real quick.
Sure.
Thank
Jeannie.
I'm cashing in 3.
So Edmund,
Give me,
you're coming in at 3 next week?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay, so you're cashing in all 4 you got and then 3 of the ones you have.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. Jeannie, you had 0 and you just earned 4.
4.
And Victor, you had 1 and you just earned 4.
Yes.
I'm
That's
cashing
okay.
in 1 to go to level 6.
So Evie, you're coming in next week with 5.
Yes.
I've got
Thank you.
Edmund at 3, Ekon at 6, Evie at 5, Jeannie at 4, Victor at 5. So all you guys need to think about is what you're going to name your new duchy, I guess, if we're going with Duchess.
Rio and Joey Duchess.
You're going to have to name your village and your keep and maybe a boat.
The Unicorn Brigade.
I mean, if you ask the internet, they would just say you have to name it Duchy McDuchy Face.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's
no,
it.
you're right.
Yeah.